Welcome back to Came to Believe. We're so glad that you've chosen to join us again in these wonderful conversations that we've been having around faith and spirituality and how that impacts our own lives, in the hope that those who are joining us will find a place for themselves in this conversation and to rediscover or discover what these topics can mean for them as we grow individually and spiritually. So welcome back. I want to take a moment to introduce our panel to us this afternoon, and I'll start over on my right with Camille. Camille, good to see you again.
Good to be here again. Thank you.
And TL, great to welcome you and to see you today.
Thank you for having me here. Appreciate being here.
We're glad you're here. And of course, to my left is Jeff.
Hello.
And furthest on my left, of course, is Lee.
I love it.
So today's conversation is going to be about hope. And as we usually do on every Came to Believe episode, we always begin by kind of grounding ourselves in sacred text. And so, Camille, I'm going to ask you to read our sacred text for us today.
So as you mentioned, today's topic is hope. And this verse is taken from Job 11:78. You will be secure because there is hope. You will look about you and take your rest in safety. Hope.
Interesting that the scripture should come from the book of Job, which of course is in the Hebrew scriptures. Job, if any of us has read the book of Job, is a story of disasters. It's a story of someone's relationship with God that goes through a roller coaster of emotions.
Yes.
And it seems like for Job that nothing was going right. In fact, I think that's from Job that we coined the phrase with friends like this, who needs enemies? Because even his friends seem to be less than hopeful in his own life. And so we get to jump in on that topic, bearing in mind, in some ways, the times when we have felt that same kind of hopelessness as well as hope. So who wants to begin the conversation with talking about hope today?
I remember when I was 9, I was the first one in my family who had chicken pox. And what happened was my sister took care of me, so I got her chicken pox. And it just like spread over the whole household. So we were all confined at home, so we wouldn't be able to do anything. So what happened was like one of my brothers went to our cousin's house and brought like a lot of comic books. And that's when I started reading comic books and stuff. And like for a little kid that wasn't sure about my gender identity and stuff, like seeing like the superheroes and all those powers and stuff made me feel like hopeful, like, you know, there's a possibility for me to be able to become superhuman and probably change myself in the future.
Wow.
Something like that. And it's just funny because like us all there being confined at home and sharing those comic books and stuff, it brought us all together too. So with that one, like the superhuman abilities and stuff, it started with my fascination with like fiction. That made me think like, hey, there's something out there that I can become in the future, and that kind of gave me hope. So it's kind of weird that it stemmed out from reading comic books as a 9-year-old kid.
You know, you should find the superhero as the one who was to be able to offer that piece of hope. I guess even for Job, there was that sense of higher power or superhero that gave him hope that even in the midst of the mess, there was still some hope. And I know that we've all got stories of mess in our lives.
Recently, I've had questions and concerns around my health. And I didn't lose hope, but my hope tank dropped really low. And when it came time to think about and reconcile and like add up my credits and debits and think about, I was hoping that I would end up with more opportunity, more time, more. And I was talking to my mom just recently about this, and she's like, what you have here on this earth still isn't done. So she, in a way, gave me hope that there's more for me, but it was at a point where I was feeling very, very hopeless.
Yeah.
And it was through the support of my friends, my family, and my mom, saying, continue to have hope. There's more. There's more.
Yeah.
Because when it hits your health, all of a sudden, it's really hard. Your mortality comes into focus, and you're like, wait, what? Is tomorrow going to come? And I didn't know if tomorrow was going to come. So I really grabbed onto whatever little hope I had, and the people in my life gave me that hope, gave me that support. And I'm very thankful for that.
The fact that the word hope is in the book of Job, to me, is like, I don't usually equate Job with hope. Because he's gone, he loses everything. He loses everything. So there's so much suffering, but then you have this word hope. And that has been my experience on a spiritual level, is that every time I think I've hit the darkest place, out of that darkness has sprung such light and such change, necessary change. Like, I almost see the darkness as a vital role in getting through to some new area. And one of the things I talk about a lot in 12-step is that I have a lot of gains that are disguised as losses. They show up as losses, but later on the other side, because I can't see it, they turn out to be the best thing that ever happened. The best thing that ever happened to me was to lose my marriage. Like, when I walked away from my marriage as a former practicing Mormon, I lost the community, I lost my marriage, I lost my identity as a wife, I lost my identity as a Latter-day Saint woman. And then I was living homeless on some lady's porch, cleaning her house to pay my rent. And I didn't know who I was. And that was the gift, was for me to stop and go, okay, what a great thing to have that palate cleansed and to be just left with, who am I? When you take away all the supposed identities of community, marriage, all that stuff. And it was a great opportunity for me to go inward and connect to a sense of hope. But it came through a lot of tears.
A few days ago, we talked about in our Bible study about God's goodness and how if God was good, which is always the question when something bad is happening, where is God? And if you're a follower of God and something bad happens, what's going on there? And we had said that even though we don't know why things happen, we have that hope, and that's the difference. Jeff, when you were sharing about your medical experience and how you became hopeless, or I want to hear it as you had less hope but not hopeless, right? It's amazing how it's because you believe in God and you know that God is there for you, there's always that hope. Imagine if you didn't know God, if you didn't have that, then you really would be hopeless. Sometimes we get pushed down, but there's that uplifting confidence that we have, that whatever happens, we have hope, and thank goodness we do. Because otherwise, where would we be? How would we be able to deal with things like that, suffering and pain? It's amazing how God just, abundantly blesses us with hope in many forms and many situations, even in the darkness.
Even in the darkness,
It's great.
Especially coming through the darkness.
Come through it into the light. I feel like hope is a choice. I'm presented with moment by moment, because it's really easy to lean into the dark and stay there. It takes more, it takes something else. I don't know if it's courage, faith, but it takes an extra strength to see it and not fall into it and just say, I see you, thank you for the lesson, and look a little more to the right. But we want to go, I'm in the dark spot, and then, bathe in it, So it's I really do believe hope is a choice.
As many things are choices, right? You get presented with those choices. I love music, and I was just as you were sharing, I was thinking of the song "I Get Knocked Down, But I Get Up Again," and the kind of the courage it takes to get back up again when really it would be so easy just to stay in that place. As of course Job had that choice to make in his own life. Was to stay knocked down and. As a pastor who gets to hear, the stories of so many people's lives, as someone who has to offer hope over and over again, what I've discovered with many, many folks is that really what they need is somebody to accompany them on the journey, to hold out that hope for them so that they can see it beyond their own experience. And I think sometimes, even just today, as we're kind of chatting and folks are watching us online, we get to be the offerers, the bearers of that hope, and not to let people know they're not abandoned in whatever circumstances, but that we are still holding out this hope of a better, not just a better today, but perhaps a brighter tomorrow, that offers somebody that encouragement to bless them on their journey.
Yeah.
12-step people say all the time, you have to hit rock bottom, before you can actually start to come back up again. And sad that we have to go there, but as you say, the gift of being able to look back and seeing this hope that continues to rise in our spirit to find something about our own selves that will encourage us on our journeys.
As I shared opening about my medical, situation that I had just recently, at a certain point it got turned on me. It's like, just look at the blessing you've just been given. Now, you know exactly where you're at health-wise. Now you can take care of yourself. Now you can do. And my brain clicked over quickly to that mode. It went from hopelessness to, yeah, you're right, I can do something now. Now I am prepared. Now the people who care about me also now can do something and get themselves. I turned 50 last year, and I haven't had a physical in forever. So who am I to think I'm Superman at 50 that I should not have a physical? It's insane. So I had to have that wake-up call.
Right.
And I turned that wake-up call into, okay, now what can I do differently? So I need to eat better. So I need to exercise more. So I need to do, all these things that we know we should be doing anyways. But now there's a certain sense of reality urgence to it. Because it is, I've got a lot to do. I got dreams. I've got, I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have all these things. I want those things. And I have hope still for those things.
Right.
And my hope has been, given a boost. Now I'm going to be healthier doing all those things because I have to.
Hope springs eternal, right? And so you're single?
You're not.
No, I'm not. No. I'm a married man, but there could be somebody watching today. Who knew that this was matchmaker.
Oh dear. Yep.
And there it goes.
There's always hope.
There's always hope.
Yeah, there's always hope.
There you go. That's right.
There's faith, hope.
Paul
That
Paul
someone
says,
will have charity as well.
what is it Paul says is faith, hope, and love. These three things remain, right? So that there's certainly values of our faith. That hope is there. That I loved what you said about that hope tank was a little less full. And I think sometimes even in our own lives we find that that hope tank is not perhaps as full as perhaps we would like it to be. And as we look around the world and we see so many things and so many people who are struggling in life and trying to keep up with the rat race and everything that life demands of us. But my real hope is today that we've been able to have some opportunity to offer just a little bit to somebody, as well as revealing a little bit more about ourselves, about how we struggle. Because I'll be honest, I've struggled sometimes around keeping hope.
I was going to ask you that, just because you're supposed to be the model and be there for everybody, do you feel like your hope tank gets exhausted by having to hold space for other people?
Yeah, and hold it for myself. I mean, when I think about situations I've been through in my life, and I mean, they're no way as disastrous as I know the folks I hear the stories of. But when relationships broke up, or something didn't go according to plan, or I thought, of course that it's hard to hold on to that sense of hope in the midst of the mire of daily living experiences. And sometimes sometimes just being the public face of the church and having to keep everything's going fabulous when really underneath things are crumbling around. But I take courage from folks. I'm lucky. I'm not like Job where his friends abandoned him. I'm lucky that I have folks who surround me and just reassure me and encourage me and I think, as you were saying, you have to start with yourself first before you're able to offer it to other people.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's kind of a false hope, right?
Yeah.
It's just it looks good, but there's nothing underneath it. Job's experience was that there was lots underneath it.
Right.
Because he kept his eye fixed on, his spiritual journey, his faith. No matter what other people were saying to pull it down or to abandon him, he somehow had this notion that everything was going to be okay.
Amazing.
He definitely, was an example of taking your rest in safety, even though physically, emotionally, mentally, everything was happening to him, he was confident. He felt safe in knowing that there was that hope. It's a great story. Great story.
It's interesting because when we're talking about loving yourself, I remember when I first got this one tattoo on my arm, it says, "Love yourself as God loves you." And I had to give myself that because I came out of a very toxic relationship, which I'd given myself and lost myself. And when I came out of it, I decided to write that to remind myself that if I can't love myself first, what am I going to give anybody else? And if I'm not giving myself, positive energy, positive affirmation, and just seeing myself as that child of God, how am I going to give that out? And, a lot of my tattoos have symbolism around them, but that one very much speaks to that aspect of, don't judge yourself, don't, be mean to yourself, don't put yourself in that negative position. Love yourself first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then you can give out. You can't give what you don't give yourself. So.
And I just want to let us know how much hope we offer here on Sunday mornings, and
yes.
through our broadcasts and all those things. I just know that people are really finding something here that is offering out an olive branch or a seed or something that is offering them hope in their own lives. So as we kind of bring this conversation to a close, I just want to say to anyone who may be watching us today, just know that we're with you and thinking of you, supporting you in prayer and hoping that our life stories and the struggles of our faith and all of the complexities of who we are as human beings, if you see anything in us that represents you, then take courage today and know that we're with you. So thank you very much indeed for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time on Came to Believe.